It's Thursday, August 23rd. Welcome to Pastor Bob Daily. Kurt on Facebook says, I feel pretty down. I follow God every day of my life. I try to block out mean things people say about me, but for some reason I cannot block it out. I've even called out to God for it. I need prayer. You know, folks, there are people around us who are difficult to live with. They're around me too. I understand. And there's some people that for some reason feel like it's their role in life to persecute you. Now, I talked about this just last week. And you say, well, Pastor Bob, why are you doing it one more time? Well, I want to talk about it a little more in depth today because I realize it's a huge problem. And I get a lot of these letters like Kurt's almost every day. Why are there so many people hurting from other Christians? You know, I love controversy. I kind of do. I like being a bit controversial. I like kind of making people think about things and rattling their cages just a little bit. Now, I don't like controversy just for the sake of controversy, but I love it when it produces something good. And I think, folks, that it's good for us to think a little outside the box. It's good for us, really good for us, to begin to process a little differently than we may have been processing. And all of that for an ultimate goal, to find our hearts, to find Jesus in a more intimate way, and to maybe begin to push through some of those things that we become complacent in. So that I like. And so sometimes I do that in this podcast. I'm a little controversial at times. Sometimes I even post things on my Facebook, Twitter, whatever, that are a bit controversial just to see how people will respond. And you know, a lot of people are really great at conversation. It is so healthy to do that. And I don't mind when people agree or disagree with me. It's fine. I love the fact that we have a diversity. And we should celebrate diversity because it's a good thing. It's positive. But what happens when diversity becomes negative and it hurts? You know, there are four kinds of people that post once in a while that kind of rub me the wrong way. First are the internet trolls. I don't know where they get the time from. I don't have that much time to spend on the internet, and especially on Facebook and Twitter and some of those places. It just seems like whatever I post, they post something actually the next minute. They must live there. And I'm sorry, but some of you really need to get more of a life. Seriously. You really do. You shouldn't be spending that much time with anything. Make sure that your life has some diversity in it. And get out of the house once in a while. Seriously. Now, I realize some of you are going to write to me and say, Pastor Bob, I have some physical problems. I can't move around. I can't get out of the house. And this is my only window. And I fully understand that. God bless you. But those of you that can, I'm talking to you. So first there are the internet trolls. Those people that just look around for something to comment on. And it seems like they just kind of stick their nose in everybody's business. Not always in a positive way. And then there are the political rabble-rousers. Those people that have strong political statements and they want to force it on everybody else. Now, I believe that you should be politically involved. But if you notice on my Facebook and on this podcast, I don't talk about politics. One of the reasons for that is that there are people from 135 countries that listen to this. And the politics here in the United States don't have a whole lot to do with a lot of other nations, and I just don't want to go there, and I don't want to really go there on my sites. So I just don't go there. And then there are the religious legalists. And, I understand that because people have been brought up with a certain mindset. And if you've been brought up in a church that's very legalistic, very condemning to others, very producing a lot of guilt, I understand that it's not necessarily your fault, although I'd sure love for you to break out of that mold. But there are those people, and then there are the bullies. Now, some people go from religious legalists to bullies. And I've made a decision in the last few days about bullies. I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. You know, I have people that go around and write things on my podcast, for instance. Maybe some of you have seen those, where they pull things out of context. They warn people not to listen to me. They blast me for things that I'm not saying. And I look them up and I see what they're doing to other people, the same thing. They're not only legalists, but they're bullies with it. And you know, a lot of you have gone through this whole thing, even in school when you were younger, the bullies that were there that picked on you. And, you know, folks, none of us should have to have bullies in our lives at this point. It just isn't right. You don't have to tolerate it, and neither do I. So I made a decision the last couple of days to begin to block the bullies. I'm just going to. I'm not going to block the religious legalists, because I think they really need some help. You say, well, the bullies need help too. That's true, but most of the bullies I know aren't open to it at all. And if they're hurting other people in the process, I don't want that to happen. And so I want to speak to the bullies right now. If you're one of those, I love your comments. Keep it civil. If you're bullying people, I'm going to block you. You know, I've never blocked people. And this is a first, but I just kind of feel like I need to. Folks, we don't have to put up with bullies. And there are so many people talking about bullying these days, and I'm glad. It's a really good discussion. But you don't have to take it. Not from people around you, especially not from your friends. All of us need healthy relationships. I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow. We're going to talk about how do you set healthy boundaries and how do you get rid of the bullies in your life. God bless you. Have a great